Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And we're live on the line this morning with Steuben County Democratic Chair and Hornell IDA consultant Shawn Hogan. Shawn, thanks for calling in.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, and how are things in Hornell this morning, Shawn?
Well, spitting a little snow, but it's January, and I guess we got to expect it. But we've been pretty lucky so far.
Right. Well, we haven't had you on since the governor gave his State of the State speech. Wanted to get your thoughts on that and the governor's budget proposals.
Well, I listened to the governor's State of the State speech, and he had an aggressive agenda and working on a number of things that he wanted. I think his biggest challenge is really kind of corralling Medicaid and its costs, and he will be working on that. Also, the fact that he wants to reform education aid in the sense that he wants to give the money to the poorer school districts to spend significantly less per student than the wealthier school districts. And I think under a plan like that, our region would benefit immensely. I was encouraged that he wants to continue to pursue his economic development activities, particularly, continuing the DRI program, which the city of Hornell is involved in now. Also, he wants to continue to, promote his consolidated funding applications through the regional councils, which has been good to us also. So, it's a mixed bag. Obviously, he touched upon, the law enforcement or criminal justice reform. And I know there's a whole lot of blowback on the, criminal justice reform, particularly when it comes to elimination of bail for non-violent crimes. I think there's an easy fix for that, and I think the easy fix is giving judges discretion when people come before them. But it's no secret that if you commit a crime, nonviolent crime, and you have no money to pay bail, then you're going to spend time in jail until you are arraigned. If you have money, you will not serve jail time until you go to trial. So a lot of people are incarcerated having not been convicted of a crime, merely because they can't pay bail. That's the crux of the system. Now, you get a lot of blowback from law enforcement and district attorneys because they have to supply evidence to defense attorneys within 15 days. New York State, prior to this review, was the most onerous. They could pretty much had carte blanche in regards to turning evidence over to defense attorneys. Now they are forced or required to provide evidence within 15 days of someone being charged with a crime. I'm not in law enforcement. I'm not a DA. I don't know if that's an onerous requirement or not. But I know other states, and many other states, you are required to turn over any evidence of a commission of a crime to the defense within that amount of time. I think there's a lot of fear-mongering going on, and I think that a lot of the Senate minority is using this as a political wedge or a political bat to try to bludgeon the Democrats. I think somewhere between the two, the Democratic policy and the Republican Party, you'll find the truth and how this is impacting our judicial system, our criminal justice system. I think There's good in it. I think that, like any legislation, it can be tweaked. But I think it levels the playing field, and it brings a sense of fairness to the criminal justice system. I know a lot of people will sit there and say, well, I agree with this. Okay, until maybe you're charged with a nonviolent crime, and you got to choose between paying your house payment or your rent, or getting medicine for your family, or paying bail so you don't go to jail. So people sit in jail because they're not able to pay bail, and it has a very difficult impact on some people. They lose their jobs, they lose their apartments, they lose their homes. So, I think you got to look at the big picture. We're hearing one side of the story in our region, but the New York State Bar Association, which all the lawyers in our state belong to, whether you're a criminal prosecutor or whether you're a defense attorney, supports the criminal justice reform. Again, I believe that as a simple fix, give the judges discretion, and based on the criminal record and the propensity of someone to flee. But I think everyone can agree that no one should sit in jail a pending trial if you have not been convicted of a crime. So I think that cooler heads should prevail and cut through the fear-mongering and all the different cases you're hearing from around the state to try to highlight this is a bad law. It isn't a bad law. It needs to be tweaked a bit. And I think it really levels the playing field in criminal justice, like many other states, including the state of Louisiana, New Jersey, and many, many other states where criminal justice reform has worked, and it's actually been a positive. So let's work through, and this law just took place January 1. Let's work through this together and let cooler and calmer heads prevail, and let's get it done.
Talking to Shawn Hogan this morning on Newsmaker. Before we move on to other issues, another issue with Governor Andrew Cuomo. He said recently that he wants to get to banning flavored e-cigarettes. Would that be a complete vaping ban, do you know, Shawn?
I don't know, but I think all I can tell you is that there is something behind what's going on with this vaping, what they're putting into it, what are some of the chemical substances. The health crisis that it's created in many areas is real. So there's got to be some. So I think the federal government, the state governments, again, should work together to try to figure out what's going. Obviously, we know that there's health risk with smoking of any kind. Putting a foreign substance into your lungs. Having been a former cigarette smoker many years ago, and now smoking an occasional cigar, I know it's bad. So but I think we have to look at it scientifically and see that there is something behind what's going on. Whether it's, I think, should we make it a personal choice and we know people are going to kill themselves? Well, we do that with cigarettes and cigars and alcohol. It affects individuals and families in all different manners. So it's a difficult situation. And I just think that there's got to be a logical solution to it, and restrict it, those things that are bad, and then people have personal choices.
Talking to Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan, who's also on the Hornell IDA, Hornell Industrial Development Agency. Anything going on there you can talk about, Shawn?
Well, not really, but there's a lot going on. There's projects that are on the back burner, front burner, and there's new projects, new activities every day. working with Mayor Buckley on his agenda, and I just provided him with a thorough update on the projects we have. Some are ready to go. Some may never go, but that's the nature of the beast. So I think that we have enough to keep us busy, but we're always looking for new opportunities here in the community where the IDA can be of assistance.
And was there anything new on the DRI grant money coming to Hornell at some point?
As you know, the LPC, or the Local Planning Committee, will meet on Thursday of this week at 3 o'clock. And then there'll be another opportunity for public comment. They have opened up a call for projects, and those projects, people who had submitted potential projects, had to hand them in by January 6th. So they're in the process of reviewing those and also reviewing some of the, I would say, cornerstone projects of our grant, which one was the Community Training and Education Center in partnership with Alfred State. We're gathering information on that. And we're also, working on 20 Elm Street in regards to the residences for the LECOM students, the medical residents that are coming to Hornell to work in our hospital and doctor's office and clinics. And then there's many others. I can't get into all detail, but yeah, I think the DRI is going to be a very positive thing. It's going to be transformative for our downtown. And when you start getting into it, you talk about $10 million. When you got some of these projects that are taking place, $10 million can go real quickly. So it's up to the committee to determine what's going to have the largest impact and benefit for our community, and that process is ongoing. And that'll go right through March, the end of March, and then the projects that are selected and vetted will be sent to the state of New York, and then sometime in midsummer, July, they'll tell us which projects have been selected to be funded. So that process is ongoing, and there's a lot of people working on it. We have a good consultant in Bergman and a good state rep in Julie Sweet, and the people on the committee are very engaged and very helpful and very committed. So I think we have a recipe for success there, and I'm pleased to be part of the process.
And by the way, we had news last week. I wanted to mention this before we go to the break. We had news last week from U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer about the high-speed rail cars made at Alstom and Hornell. They're going to be tested, I believe, out in Colorado, if memory serves me correctly.
Right, Pueblo, Colorado. They'll be out there. The first train set will go out there and go through extensive testing, and that's part of the process. And then it will return to Hornell, and it'll be, come home and deconstructed and then reconstructed and take care of any problems or tweaks, and the process continues. So that's ongoing.
Great. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk Washington politics with Shawn Hogan. Stay with us.
The DJ you should hire listens to you about the kind of party or reception you'd like to have, pronounces your name right, plays the music you request, not the songs he feels like hearing. The DJ you should hire works out the songs ahead of time with you. Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth, for all occasions, weddings, dances, graduations, anniversaries, and parties. 661-7658. 661-7658. 661-7658 for Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth.
Checking in now with meteorologist Rob Carroll, who says we got some snow showers coming up next few days.
We do, Brian. There's an upper level disturbance which is crossing the northeastern part of the country this morning. Radar is showing some precipitation right now, stretching from Albany all the way back through Buffalo. It's nothing heavy. There's just some widely scattered flurries and snow showers, and that's what this upper level system will continue to produce today. We'll have a lot of cloudiness, a few flurries, maybe a snow shower, and a high of 35 to 40 today. Sunrise was 7:29 this morning. The sun will set this evening at 5:17. Weather-wise, looks like we're going to be dealing with more clouds tonight. Could have a few lingering flurries or a snow shower. Nighttime lows 25 to 30. A little change through tomorrow. Clouds, a couple of flurries or a snow shower. It is a little colder tomorrow, 30 to 35. Colder weather will continue to move in tomorrow night. We're mostly cloudy. We're down to 20. And high pressure finally takes over on Wednesday, Brian. It'll become partly sunny. Highs will be somewhere between 30 and 35. And then looks quiet through the end of the work week.
And we're back with Shawn Hogan. Shawn, who do you think it'll be? Any predictions on which presidential candidate on the Democratic ticket will be on the Democratic ticket come November?
I couldn't tell you at this juncture. I mean, the race is tightening. I mean, I always felt that, and this is my opinion, why do we take some of the smaller states, population-wise, with the least cross-section of population and make them the states that are going to potentially pick the next president of the United States or a presidential candidate? I mean, nothing against Iowa, but certainly it doesn't have a diverse population as some other states does. And they're very focused on, issues that are germane to Iowa, and it's not a vote, it's a caucus. And if anyone's familiar with a caucus, people come into a room and they decide who they're going to vote for as a group. There's no independent secret balloting, and it's kind of a antiquated system. And why Iowa or then New Hampshire, one of the smallest states in our country, are the ones that dictate who is going to be the front runner as president candidate, I just don't agree with. It elongates the process, and depending on how much money you can raise, some of the stronger candidates maybe don't even make it. So I'm not a big fan of the process, particularly in Iowa where there's caucuses and it's not just a general election vote. But I don't know. I think that Mike Bloomberg has made a tremendous rise in the polls. Certainly he's got all the money in the world he can spend. But Mike has a proven track record, too. Currently I've been selected to run as a delegate for Joe Biden. I like Joe. I think that Joe, if selected by the Democratic Party, and he runs and he is our thing, I think he'd bring a sense of calm and a sense of stability to leading the nation. And I really believe that's what we need. We need to get by all this noise and all this stuff that's got people sitting on the edge of their seats and short with each other. We need a calming influence as a leader, and we need a leader. Not a tweeter, a leader.
Has anyone else said that? That sounds like a good slogan, Shawn.
Yeah, right. So I just hope the process comes up with the best candidate possible.
A leader, not a tweeter. I don't think it's a smart thing for him to be tweeting out during impeachment about witnesses that could come back to haunt him.
Right. Yeah, I've been catching some of the process. Obviously, I don't watch the thing 24/7. I think the supporters of the president are rock solid behind him, and they don't care what evidence is presented or how damning it is. They're going to support the president regardless of what they hear or what they see. But just as a common sense individual and seeing what I've seen and the case that has been presented, I believe that the floor managers or the managers from Congress presented their case very articulately, and in some cases very emotionally. And they believe in what they're doing, and they're trying to protect the Constitution of the United States. And that's what that's what they're trying to do.
With that, we do have to leave it, Shawn. You raised a good point today. Most people do not live in Dubuque, Iowa, or Nashua, New Hampshire. Why are these states dictating who the front runner is? I thought that was an interesting point.
Right.
We have to leave it there, but thank you so much, Shawn.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon.
Did you know that there's an illegal immigration